to some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I'm joined here with Matt, and today we're going to be reviewing The Fog from 1980. We'll have a brief spoiler-free chat before hitting a spoiler warning to discuss the plot in a bit more detail and giving our personal ratings from 1 to 10. Then, as always, we'll finish up with a fun game to test Matt's knowledge. It's directed by John Carpenter, written by John Carpenter and Debra Hill, and it's pretty much bang on hour and a half long. Yeah. Before we start, I just want to say I'm going to be making a couple of minor little changes to the podcast. The main one being the trivia section. I think it would be better to scatter it out throughout the episode rather than saving it all until the end. It just makes for a better conversation, really.
Agreed. It's this film's got quite a lot of trivia, but I think what you'll find is all John Carpenter films do. Like this, there's always tons to talk about with them because there's like a crew of people that follow him throughout his career, and obviously this is in the sort of peak years where every film is a really great film. It's hard to say really. Like some people might say all of them are great, and I mean none of them are terrible, I don't think, but like if you're talking from me, it's like 76 to maybe 94, which is a pretty good run. I think every film within that, from Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, maybe not so much, but then In the Mouth of Madness, I think you can make an argument for vampires. I know a lot of people like vampires, but an Escape from LA, but I think In the Mouth of Madness was like his last absolutely like peak one. But that's a really incredible.
So what would you say is your top Carpenter? What would be reigning supreme out of all of his work?
Oh, so I really like In the Mouth of Madness. I really liked Big Trouble in Little China when I was a kid. I'm not a massive Escape from New York fan. Halloween, as you know, I like it, I appreciate it, but it's not like my favourite. So I'd probably say my favourite is Assault on Precinct 13. That's one I've rewatched a lot.
Okay.
The Thing would maybe be my second, and then maybe Prince of Darkness. I like They Live as well. I mean, they're all good. They're all great. They're all really good. Yeah. What about you?
I would put The Thing on top because I am such a massive fan of practical effects use, and I think the Thing and The Fly are like two of my all-time favorites, like specifically for like the use of their practical effects. I just think it's so. I mean, what year was that? Do you know? That must have been 80.
The Thing was 82.
82. Okay. So like I mean, Halloween 78, this one 80. And then that one 82. So like you say, it's almost banger after banger. Like, and I'm wearing my Halloween top.
It really is.
And
they just. I mean, I'll say up top without kind of ruining anything. Not spoilers, but spoiler maybe in one thing. Like this was always one that I thought was like one of my favorites, and I don't know whether. Just on this rewatch, I didn't find it as gripping as I normally did. I found it a little bit, I'm not going to say boring, but like just didn't grab my attention in the same way. But it's got all of the John Carpenter elements that I like. You know, the actors, I'm massive, like, I love Tom Atkins from Halloween 3. You know, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis, Hal Holbrook, who's great, Janet Leigh, Adrienne Barbeau, like, great cast. It's got a cool setting. It's got, you know, I like stuff by the sea, and the music's great. Obviously, it's John Carpenter doing that as well. But this time, it just didn't hit me in the same way. It wasn't like... It's just really strange because, like, when we rewatched The Thing, I was like, "Oh, this was great!" Like, I don't know. And the same with Halloween. Like, I was more appreciative of Halloween. This time, The Fog just did not resonate in the same way with me, and I don't know why that is.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm the opposite.
Oh, okay.
I liked it a lot better this time round because I haven't really seen this that much. But when I first saw this, I was actually quite disappointed. Because I'd already seen The Thing and Halloween by that point. So in my head, like, I knew nothing about it. So in my head, I thought it was going to be like a proper Carpenter, like that type of Carpenter. I thought it was going to be like gory-ish, sci-fi, slashery. But in fact, you don't actually really see much. So I was a little...
It's spooky, isn't it? It's spooky rather than scary.
Yeah, it's just a traditional kind of ghost story. But,
it would fit kind of more with like Hammer films or you know, if Peter Cushing was in it or something, or Christopher Lee or Vincent Price. Like, it feels good. Again, it's another cult one where it's done relatively well when it came out. Yeah. People appreciate it more now. Like The Thing people really have done a lot of retconning and like, oh, I've always said it was amazing. It was always great, you know, whereas a lot of people at the time did not have that opinion. Even John Carpenter was very disappointed, wasn't he? As we said in the podcast, he was very upset with the response to it. Like, he put so much into it to get very little back. Now, it's a lot of people's favourite film of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of hits with me on this film. I've appreciated this more over time as I've watched it. And from what I understand, I believe John Carpenter actually aimed for this film to be a PG rating, which is
right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes sense. You know, as to why. You know, because all the kills are kind of like off screen. There's no actual blood or anything in it. But I mean, I definitely wouldn't rate this a PG film. But
I can see where his head was. It makes sense that he would do that as well. Like, maybe like following the career path of Spielberg, going from like Jaws to more family friendly stuff. Maybe the intention was, maybe he just couldn't do it because he's just not he's not able to do it. But like, maybe go, you know, in next film after Halloween, it makes sense to not make a slasher or something really gory. So yeah, it kind of makes sense.
It's funny, like you mentioned earlier, like how John Carpenter likes to sometimes like reuse people, but he seems to have a thing for reusing names. Like, I find it funny how, like, Tom Atkins, his character, is called Nick Castle. And obviously Nick Castle is the original actor who played The Shape, Michael Myers, in Halloween.
Yeah. There's Dan O'Bannon as well, who he wrote Dark Star with. Yeah. One of the characters is called Dan O'Bannon. There's a Tommy Wallace as well. But I thought was quite interesting, there's a Dr. Phibes. So obviously a little reference to Vincent Price, who played Dr. Phibes. So, like I said, it's that more classic horror feel, isn't it? It's more of a...
Well, I mean, you've got some big names in this movie, like Adrienne Barbeau, Tom Atkins, Hal Holbrook, Nancy Kyes, Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, and her mum, the original Scream Queen from Psycho, Janet Leigh.
Yeah. I mean, you've even got like Charles Cyphers, who's in so many of, you know, he's Sheriff Brackett from Halloween, but he's been in so many other great films, including, particularly, I think he's really good in Assault on Precinct 13. Even like some other people are in it, like Rob Botton, who does the special effects, is in it, plays a character. But John Carpenter, again, plays a Bennett Tramer.
Oh, really?
In this, which is funny, because obviously that's the guy who went on to be heavily involved in making Saved by the Bell, but also he's the person they talk about on the phone in Halloween, isn't he?
Yeah, Tramer, yeah.
But the biggest thing for me is this period of time. The reason one of the main reasons it's so successful is Debra Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's the dialogue, particularly female-driven dialogue, that wasn't sounding like a lot of films at the time. She's such an incredibly important person in his career, but in horror in general, to make it accessible to women as a career, but also to feel like the voices on screen sounded real and sounded like they weren't just there as boobs, essentially.
Yeah.
So she's just so amazing. Obviously, she was involved in all of these great films that we've just discussed, but she also produced The Dead Zone. So I know a lot of people who like the film Clue with Tim Curry, but it never really hit with me. But like the Dead Zone film, I think it was Christopher Walken, isn't it? Like she's, had to go from, and I was doing some research into her when we were looking for this one. Like she was like saying her journey from being sweetheart and darling to people calling her mum and like doing as they were like working for her was a really big apprenticeship to get people to kind of follow her. And I just think there's got to be, I'm sure there's got to be some interesting books written about her, I think.
Yeah, those two together, they're quite a duo. I don't really know much about her, but were they together pretty much throughout all of his career? Like, was she involved in, like, for instance, The Thing? I know he went on to do, was it Christine? He did Christine. I love that one.
So she I don't think she was involved in Christine, but she did Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. These are ones she produced anyway. The Dead Zone, Clue, and then later on Adventures in Babysitting, Big Top Pee-wee, The Fisher King, Escape from LA. Her and John Carpenter came back to produce together in 2005 the remake of The Fog, which I haven't seen.
No, I haven't seen
but that's a pretty good list of films. I know that she, that they had a relationship and then went their separate ways creatively as well. But also she got very ill around 2004. But she was still doing things related to Snake Plissken when she was ill.
Snake Plissken.
which is pretty cool. I thought he was dead. But yeah, so there's so many. There is a documentary which I haven't seen, which I couldn't find, called Hollywood Trailblazer, the Debra Hill story. So sadly no longer with us, but passed away at age 54. So who knows what she would have been able to. Yeah.
So what were their involvement in the remake? Because I haven't seen the remake either. I kind of steer away from remakes unless people tell me otherwise. Oh no, it's actually pretty good. But if I knew that they were involved, then I'll be more inclined to check it out.
Well, it's not got very good. Like, I've not heard one positive thing about it. They kind of make it into like a more of a teen. And it's 2005, so like making it into like a more of a post Final Destination kind of film. Okay. Production companies involved include Debra Hill Productions. Now, there's also 3 other production companies involved in it as well. And, we know from what things John Carpenter said before, where he'll take the money now and maybe be very much hands off and just let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Which I think is the right way to go with stuff like that, because you're only going to fall out with people when they don't do it the way you would do it. And plus, if it's a remake, there's no point in doing a shot-for-shot remake. You just end up with Psycho with Vince Vaughn. No, and nobody wants that.
Oh God, yeah. I was gonna. I've got written down here that Carpenter's got his little cameo, playing Father Malone's assistant in the beginning. But I read that he was he hated that. Watching it back, he thought his acting was so terrible in the role that he made himself uncredited. And I was listening to a podcast with Adrienne Barbeau, and she was saying, because they were married at this time, and when they saw the rough cut for this one, they left, and he was like apologising to her, and he thought he was a failure because he hated it, and she was. She said that he was worried that she was actually going to leave him because of it. I mean, obviously she said nonsense, but yeah.
It sounds very, very similar, doesn't it, to what you've said about The Thing as well. Except I think in The Thing he was more disappointed because he thought it was great and everybody else thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then maybe he started like. Maybe he's always had that in him, like second guessing himself. It was just that with The Thing, why it hit him so hard was other people were agreeing with him.
It's kind of flip reverse in this one.
Yeah, in this one, it's like he thinks it's terrible, and everybody else is like, no, it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I've really got. I mean, I forgot to ask, when did you first see this? Is it something that stuck with you over time, or is it fairly recent? Or
it was definitely after 1980 because I'd been in one when it came out. But I think I bought. I think I've still got it. It was probably whenever Blu-rays first started. They were one of the first Blu-rays that I found was there was like a load of John Carpenter's, and I bought them all. So it was probably when I was at university, so probably early 2000s was when I first saw it. I don't know, is that right? I don't even know when Blu-rays came out, but like, yeah.
Sounds about, I don't know, actually.
It's hard, yeah, because it might be that I got Blu-rays a bit later than other people, like most things. So I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? They try and divide things up into eras and stuff. It's kind of easier to say, oh, I know when I had a VHS.
Yeah.
Oh, so apparently around 2006.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah, I was thinking it might have been mid. Because I think DVDs came out late 90s, did they?
Yeah. So, I would say probably early 2000s or like 2005, 6 maybe. And yeah, it's one of those, I've always liked it, not revisited it a lot. Like I said, I think if I'm going to revisit a John Carpenter, it's probably Assault on Precinct 13. When I was a kid, me and my friends absolutely loved Big Trouble in Little China. We just thought it's just such an 80s action movie, but it's so weird, really, when you revisit it. It's such a strange film. It's got a bit of everything in it, but it's like a bit wild and a bit silly and a bit doesn't quite make a lot of sense in places, but it's not like a lot of John Carpenter films. It's like the funniest one, I guess.
Yeah. I remember my dad was really disappointed because I saw Escape from LA and I went to him and I was like, oh, this film is so good. Like, I didn't really know anything about movies then. And he was like, oh, don't watch that one. That one's shit. You need to watch Escape from New York.
What did you think of Escape from LA? Did it just no? You just like no.
I was really young when I saw that, and I think it was just like over the top, kind of like action packed Kurt Russell. There's like a big stupid surfing scene where he's like surfing this wave down the middle of LA. I mean, it is silly now when you watch it, but as a kid watching that, you think it's really cool. And then I knew nothing about it, and then he was like, oh, you need to watch Escape from New York. That's the first one. That's the best one. And then I did, and I loved that one. And then I never watched Escape from LA again.
I mean, it'd be a bit like watching an American Werewolf in Paris, wouldn't it, first?
Exactly the same thing. Yeah.
I remember watching that when they debuted it on Sky, and I was like, I quite liked Tom Everett Scott, but I was like, this isn't a very good film. And I may have even then gone and bought American Werewolf in London and rewatched it just because I was like, everyone says this is great, but it's got to be better than this Paris one. And it was.
Yeah, by a long shot.
Yes.
All right then. That's all really got for pre-spoilers. Should we jump into the spoilers? Go through the plot?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Let's do it.
Right, I'll hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
So the movie starts off with some guy telling a story about a ship that crashed nearby, causing the crew to drown. We see the town priest, Father Malone. He finds his grandfather's diary that reveals he was up to some dodgy dealings back in the day. And I don't think the movie makes it crystal clear, but basically he and 5 others wrecked a ship named the Elizabeth Dane because it was full of gold and owned by people who had leprosy. So they stole the gold and then sank the ship so they could essentially like build the town. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's spooky pirates, except not crap like the spooky pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, it might just be me, but I feel like it doesn't do a great job, you know, of explaining everything that clearly. Like, if you weren't paying attention to the old guy in the intro, you'd probably have a tough time understanding what's happening.
I think what you think the film is going to be is like a kind of horrible fog that just envelops a town gradually, like almost like a Stephen King kind of thing, you know, like a high concept one thing that happened. That's what I think people think they're going to get with this. And maybe the supernatural side of it, well, no, that is supernatural, but like ghost side of it is a bit of a surprise to people.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I thought when I first watched it, because I think I watched
you watched The Mist.
The Mist by Stephen King. So I was essentially thinking, it's going to be, you know, roughly like that. And I really liked The Mist, you know, a mist that takes over a town and it's got like, some kind of like creature inside of it that's killing everyone.
Well, this is it. Like fog and mist isn't that different, is it?
Yeah.
Scotch mist.
Yeah, and I found out that intro scene with the old boy, like that was added, well, a lot of the intro stuff, like with the paranormal stuff, everything's happening to the town, like that was actually made after the film had wrapped. It was like additional scenes because the rough cut only added up to about 80 minutes, which is not enough for like a theatrical release. So Carpenter then had to go back and add more scenes to kind of buff it up a bit, get those minutes up. which is weird because like I think the intro to this is probably the best bit. Like it's like building everything up. You're seeing everyone around and their experience with what's happening to the town. Nancy Kyes, you know, she's waking up with the car alarm going off and stuff, you know, moving around in the house. And I think it's pretty cool. What about you?
Oh, so campfire bit, ghost story bit, I don't know if they needed that, if I'm honest. I feel like that's been done so much. Maybe not in 1980, I hadn't been done that much, but like it has now.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a bit harsh judging it on the fact that there's been 20, 30 years of the same sort of stuff. But we needed to find out about this law in order for it to make sense, like you said. So it does make sense because of that. It would be really cool to have maybe seen all of that in like a completely different story without the ghost story part, and then just find a way of moving from the past to the present, like it just shifts.
Like instead of the story having like a flashback where you actually see it firsthand.
Yeah. Like it would have been cool to just have it almost as like, you know, whatever, 100 years later. Well, no, 90 years later.
Yeah.
But in a cool way. I don't know how they would do that. But I do feel like it meanders a bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it's a quite jarring... Like, I like Stevie as the DJ. I like that kind of stuff with DJs in it, because they did that quite well in the new Halloween, the DJ. And it's good in films like Grosse Pointe Blank, where they have those kind of DJ things where they have a window and they can see outside, which I always think is like a strange, very like American thing.
Yeah.
But it's quite jarring to go from all that to then to the town. But I think what's most jarring, really, and I'm probably jumping forward a bit too much, but is Nick being so irresistible to this woman who seems so much younger than him.
Oh God.
I don't know what you think about that, but like Tom Atkins is a charismatic guy, but in every film he's in, he's like irresistible to women, no matter from the ages of 18 to 80. They all want to sleep with him instantly.
I know. I made that as a note to you because I know you like Tom Atkins, and I made a note of saying, you know, why is Tom Atkins so sexy? Like,
he looks quite rough in this as well. Like,
why is he so irresistible? Like,
yeah, if I knew that, I would just do the same thing. But I don't know, because for me, this is the roughest I think he's ever looked.
Yeah,
like he looks more attractive in Halloween. He looks more attractive in pretty much anything. But like for some reason in this, it's weird. It's like, what was it I was watching the other day? Oh, I was watching a really bad film, and I was like, oh, please don't tell me that this father-daughter relationship is going to end up with them like in bed with each other. And it did. I kind of feel it's a bit like that with this.
Yeah, because it's not like the I don't know, like the best kind of like hunky hero guy in this one, because like he picks her up, like she's a hitchhiker and he picks her up and she just jumps in and just chatting away, and he's just like swigging a Budweiser whilst driving, and it was like offering it to her as well. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe if you pick up a hitchhiker, maybe you shouldn't be drink driving, because I think that would be quite creepy enough as it is.
It's just a character, like a bit of character for somebody back then. It's like if you cheat on your wife and you drink drive, that's just like, oh, he's a bit of a lad. It's totally fine. It just gives you a bit of colour to the character. Like now it's like, oh, he'd be a bad person. Now it's like, you know, what do you expect him to do? Not drink and drive? Not cheat on his...
Yeah. We see the fog come in along with the Elizabeth Dane carrying the vengeful ghost of Blake and his crew, and they start killing the locals. And oh yeah, my best bit of the film, we can't forget to mention the beautiful soft-spoken radio DJ Stevie Wayne.
Oh, your favourite.
Yeah, I find it funny how like John Carpenter made the Stevie Wayne role like specifically for Adrienne Barbeau as well, because they were married at the time. Yeah. And it's like he essentially, like, you know, he did a Rob Zombie, really, like.
Yeah,
like,
difference being
get your wife
like...
to play the character who's like on screen the most and like has, you know.
Yeah, but possibly not as overt as Rob Zombie, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not sure how much Sherry Moon Zombie, how much acting background experience and talent she has compared to Adrienne Barbeau.
True. Yeah, very true.
But that's just opinion, though. That's just my opinion. I don't know the difference in terms of like the timeline of her acting background before she met John Carpenter. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's in like films after this, isn't she? Like I think Creepshow is after that, but she shows real range in Creepshow, doesn't she? Because she's like a horrible person in Creepshow.
Yeah, I mean, she's been in some great films. Creepshow again is one of my favourites. What else has she been in? She's Swamp Thing. She was the lead girl in Swamp Thing. Cannonball Run. She was in that. I know it's not horror, but yeah.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Love Cannonball Run.
Yeah. No, I love Adrienne. Or is it Adrienne?
No,
I don't know. People pronounce
Yo,
it.
Adrienne. I'm surprised you never mentioned it.
I've got my, I know people can't see, but I've got my Creepshow VHS here, and I'm going to be at the horror convention this Sunday in Manchester. Yeah, for the love of horror, and she's going to be there. So I'm going to get her to sign that.
It's the first one I'm missing, and as I said to you off recording, it's all of the cast from Halloween 3 are there, and I'm not going to be there. It's the first one I've missed since they started doing For the Love of Horror. But it's okay. It's fine. I needed a break.
Yeah, and they got pretty much all the cast of The Thing, bar from Kurt Russell, and all the cast of The Evil Dead, bar Bruce Campbell. Yeah, and I think, what's her name? Betsy Baker from The Evil Dead. She's going to be in full Evil Dead makeup as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I see a picture of it online, like her posting what she's going to look like. And she, like, considering that's like, what, how old? When was that? Was that 70s? No.
Early maybe 80s? Very, very early 80s, isn't it? Yeah.
A long time ago. And she looks like spot on. Like, just
really?
the same. Yeah, like, that makeup is brilliant.
Oh, yeah, 81, The Evil Dead, yeah.
Yeah, 81.
I look very different than I looked in 1981. If I looked the same, it'd be very strange.
So, yeah, then we get Nick and Elizabeth. They find a lost fishing trawler with the corpses of one of the fishermen, and later, while Elizabeth is in the autopsy room alone, the fisherman's corpse briefly comes to life and then collapses next to her. The fog moved back in, and then it kills the weatherman. So Stevie begs her listeners to go to her house to save her son. So Nick comes to the rescue. Yay!
He's a hero.
Yeah.
Everybody loves him.
Oh, sexy Nick.
Stupid sexy Nick.
Stupid sexy Nick.
He's like Flanders in the ski thing. The ski scene.
Like nothing at all. Yeah, I see that boat scene on the fishing trawler. John Carpenter said that filming that scene on the boat was the worst day of shooting in his whole career because he really suffers from seasickness. So he was just constantly being sick. Because
you'd think it wouldn't be that bad compared to, I don't know, being in the middle of like the freezing cold somewhere.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah. And then, they take refuge in the church and realise that the giant gold cross is made from their stolen gold. So Malone offers the gold and himself to spare the others. Blake takes the cross before him and the fog vanish, and his crew. And then after everyone leaves, Malone wonders why he was spared, given that there were only 5 deaths. And then the fog reappears and Blake decapitates him, making it 6.
They're all after me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I mentioned as well, because I was a bit confused about that, how they were seeking revenge to kill 6 people. Like, specifically 6 people.
Because it's a spooky number.
There is a reason, but I can't remember why. 6 meant something. I don't know what it was. But, yeah, and then, I don't know if you spotted it. I didn't, but I saw it throughout. Like, apparently, after a couple of people died, like the guy in the autopsy room falls on the floor, and then there's a number that he'd carved into the floor. Did you see that? He carved the number 3. Indicated
3 times 2 is 6. That makes sense.
Well, I think he was indicating that 3 more people are going to die.
Okay.
It's like after everyone
2 times
died,
3. He was doing his maths.
Yeah. But it was like really quick. It was like half a second. Like you barely see it.
Do you think that some of the stuff would have benefited from being a little bit more, like obvious for certain audiences, maybe?
Yeah, I needed it. I was getting quite confused.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I think I found it really hard to focus on it this time, and that probably didn't help. That I was just like, oh, something else is happening. Well, never mind. I was on to the next bit. Like maybe when I've watched it in the past, I've sat in front of like a projector or a big screen or something and really zoomed in on it. I was lucky enough to see, maybe one of the reasons I like some of the others is I was lucky enough to see some of them when they did a big John Carpenter re-release, and I watched Assault on Precinct 13 at the cinema and Halloween at the cinema and something else. But like, they stick with me. Sometimes it does make a difference, doesn't it, how you watch something?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, let's jump into our ratings. Do you want to go first?
It's so hard because what I've written down, I almost thought it was going to be that before I watched it because from memory, because I'd seen it quite a few times. Now, because I didn't enjoy it as much, which is really weird. It might just be me. It might just be the day, the day I watched it on. Who knows? So I was gonna go 7 all along, and I'm now gonna go 6.5.
Okay.
I know that's a bit of a shock. I'm shocked myself.
And why is that then? Like why 6.5?
I think it just dragged a bit more. If I'm honest, this time it didn't have the key things that I like from a John Carpenter movie. Didn't stand out as much. Like this time I watched it, the music didn't feel as powerful. The story was kind of a bit bitty and bits of it dragged, and it wasn't as like spooky as I remembered it. But I also wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt and be like, maybe it was just this time I watched it because I've loved it in the past. So I was like, 7 would be disingenuous because I didn't enjoy it as much, and 6 would be too low, so 6.5.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm almost with you. I think it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. I think I like the idea and the story. Like I said earlier, when I first saw this, my first viewing, I went in with the expectation of it being a more visually shocking horror film. So it did kind of disappoint me in the sense of not seeing much action. However, accepting it for what it is a classic, and I understand why people love this movie. Yes. Knowing that he initially wanted this to be a PG, I completely get it now. And yeah, I think it would be this would be a pretty good introduction to horror. Like, if you're a bit squeamish and you don't like things moving too fast or too much gore or anything, then this would be a good introduction horror film for like a new starter. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7.5. 7 for the movie, but an extra half point for Adrienne Barbeau.
Okay. I thought it was going to be an extra 0.5 for John Carpenter, but I should have known.
I normally do a half point for boobs.
I'm probably been a bit too harsh. But again, it's maybe in that classic horror feel of like spooky rather than scary.
Yeah, definitely.
So and you need those sometimes, but I think you have to be in the right mood for them. Otherwise, they just wash over you because you're waiting for bigger moments and they don't come.
Yeah.
You have to be in the right mood for like, something where there's more acting than there is kind of set pieces.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, 7.5 from me, 6.5 from you. So if you're ready, we'll jump into this week's game.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. I'm going to get full marks.
I want to play a game.
Right. So this is essentially just a kind of... I think this is just like a John Carpenter game.
Fingers crossed then.
Okay, so Jamie Lee Curtis's film debut was John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978.
Correct.
But,
one mark.
But how many Halloween movies has she featured in total?
Oh, okay. Are we talking like where they've used footage of her when she wasn't involved?
Yes.
Oh, because there might be moments where it's like, oh, do you remember your aunt, or do you remember your sister? And it's like, but it was just a clip from the original film. Does that count as the original film, or does that count as like being in the film?
Yeah. Well, I think they just do that with the one, if it's what I'm thinking of. Because
she's definitely in 1 and 2.
Intro.
She's definitely in 1 and 2. She's in Resurrection, and then she's in the 3 other ones. So I'll just go with what I definitely know. So 3, 4, 6.
You're
7.
right, but it's 7, and I think because... Wait, was she in Resurrection? She was in H2O.
Oh, she's not. That's what I meant, H2O.
Yeah, H2O, but she was in Resurrection as well,
Resurrection
but
as
only for like 2 minutes in the intro.
Damn. Yeah, I forgot those 2 films. I thought they were all just one movie. Right.
So...
Off to a good start.
So, Janet Leigh... Oh, yeah, no, this isn't really a John Carpenter film. It's just all things like associated with this. So
all things Jamie Lee Curtis.
Janet Leigh plays one of the most iconic screen queen roles in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. But what's the name of her character in Psycho?
Oh, crap. I was literally just talking about her the other day. Oh, what is she called? Oh, I know this. Oh, so
don't Google it.
I'm not Googling it. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to put myself back in the mindset of when I was because I was talking about this earlier on, either today or yesterday, to someone, and I was like, it's not really a Norman Bates film for like half of the film.
Yeah,
and it's like the second one is more of a Norman Bates film.
We did this not long ago.
Yeah, that's why I should know. Like, I just thinking of her as Janet Leigh. Marion something, but I can't remember the surname.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Marion Crane.
Oh,
Marion Crane. Adrienne Barbeau. She was married to John Carpenter, but how many movies of his has she featured in?
Again, this is going to be one where she's on the phone or something, isn't it? So I'm going to say 2.
No, it's 3. So, and I believe the only ones, I mean, it is a bit cheeky. Yeah, it is kind of 2 because it's this one and Escape from New York. But also she was credited in The Thing because she played the chess computer board thing. The old school
I remember
chess
you saying
machine.
At the time.
Yeah,
I should have listened.
She was voicing that.
I should have been listening.
And she was.
Well, I was listening because I remember it now. But yeah, chess computer, which isn't really a character, is it?
Yeah, and then he pours like scotch all over it because he loses.
Calls her a bitch as well, doesn't
he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Atkins. He starred in one of your all-time favourite movies, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yes, he did.
But how does that movie have a connection to this movie?
Isn't Jamie Lee Curtis on the phone in that film or something? I mean, they're both John Carpenter property. Tommy Lee Wallace is in this film as well. Has it got something to do with that?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Wallace.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he was the editor for this film as well as playing one of the ghosts, but he directed Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yes.
So yeah,
and he did a very good job too.
Okay. Hal Holbrook.
Legend.
He starred in Creepshow, but what episode did he star in?
The Box.
Yeah.
The Crate, sorry.
The Box.
The Box doesn't sound as spooky. Oh, what's in the box? What's in the crate?
What's in the basket?
Yeah, basket case.
Yeah.
Boxes, baskets, and crates. It's hard to remember what's what.
Nancy Kyes, professionally known as Nancy Loomis. She starred in the first 3 Halloween movies, as well as this. But what other John Carpenter movie?
So I could go very early and say Dark Star. Or I could say Assault on Precinct 13.
Was she in Dark Star?
I don't think she was in Dark Star, but that would be a guess. So Assault on Precinct 13 I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
She's also in Halloween. Oh, you said Halloween, sorry.
Yeah, she was in like 3 of them.
She's in Halloween 3.
Yeah, she dies in the first one because she's what's her name? Annie Brackett, is that it?
Annie Brackett,
yeah.
yeah.
So she dies in that
Brackett.
one, and then she's in the second one, even though she's dead because they carry her out in like a body bag. And then she plays a completely different role in the third one. I think she's like the barmaid or something in the third one.
Is she? I was going to say she can't be one of Dr. Dan's kids. He's not that old, is he? Oh, she's not. Like, she's not his wife.
Oh yeah, maybe she is actually. Yeah.
She's his shrewish wife who, deserves him cheating on her.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, that's it. Yeah.
What did I get? 3? 10.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Out of
6.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
I've definitely done better, and I've definitely done worse.
Yeah. And I've just realised now that I've got to the end of the game that every question was every star in this movie. It wasn't John Carpenter's. Yeah.
Okay, so it was more of a, the fog. Theme, which would make sense because that's the film we've been watching.
Oh God, I'm the one that made this game and I can't even remember what it was about. All right, okay, let's wrap up. So yeah, we're approaching Halloween, so we're going to continue our journey through that franchise, and that will be Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers.
Return of the Mac.
Yeah, Macca's.
Return of the Mac.
And some
That's what the
people love that movie.
I don't mind it. I like the silly nonsense of 4 or 5.
It is silly,
4 or 5,
and for some reason I love it as well. Like I don't even know why.
It's I don't know. I mean, comparing it to the what do you call them? What's the guy called? The Blumhouse ones, I prefer those. So I prefer the Return of Michael Myers, trilogy. I guess we're calling him a trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, this mask that I've got here from Trick or Treat Studios, I think my mic's in the way. That one.
Oh yeah,
that's from the fourth one, Return of Michael Myers.
I mean, Curse of Michael Myers is all over the shop, but like Revenge and Return are good fun.
The Curse of Michael Myers, isn't that the one with Paul Rudd in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there is an unreleased or an unmade script called Halloween 666, which was supposed to be the 6th one. Obviously, there's so many different ones. I did a video and I kind of read out with a friend of mine, and we acted out Halloween 666. And I will tell you for a fact, it's no better than the one with Paul Rudd in. Equally as terrible as the Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah, that is.
And obviously
really
we've got a different
one.
Jamie Lloyd as well. Like Daniel Harris is really, really good in 4, even though she does scream a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's JC Brandy. And Donald Pleasance has had a lot of brandy to drink during the performance as well, so it's a bit crazy. But 4 and 5, I think, are good films.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. They might not be.
We'll
when we watch them.
We'll see. I've already got some trivia for that one that I just happened to know off the top of my head, because I think they use 4 different masks for that film, and they're quite obvious. I mean,
he's got the fluffy hair in that one as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the poster for it, the box cover and the poster, that is literally the mask from the original, and it definitely doesn't look like that in the film. And there's we'll get into it in the next one, but there's plenty of scenes where you see well, that's a different mask. One of them's got a completely different hair color, and it's very strange.
I wonder if anyone's got the collection that I've got, the DVD collection, which has Boogeyman 2, and Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 all on one in one box, which is a bit strange. Boogeyman's okay. Boogeyman 2's terrible. But Halloween 4 and 5 in the same box set.
Yeah, there's a few different timelines, isn't there, of how you could watch the franchise. You
could just watch 4, 5, and 6, couldn't you? I guess.
Yeah.
Separately, then you could watch H2O and the other one, and you could watch like 1 and 2 separately. Watch 3 on its own.
Resurrection with Busta Rhymes, Kung Fu kicking Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's what
hey,
you
Mikey.
Want. That's what we all wanted. That's what we're all asking for.
Oh God. Okay. Right.
Let's go. Let's watch it now.
Yeah, let's go.
Live stream.
All right. Shall I see us out? You got anything else you want to add?
That was it, really. Just don't think that Halloween 666 was going to be good if you find that on the internet. It's not.
I'm going to look for it now. All right, so if you've liked today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, and that's where you can vote on the monthly poll picks for what we cover. That's a wrap for today, so thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you on Halloween.
Spooky.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.